Okay, so as you can see, we're not professional. We're just doing this, to meet people that we really appreciate, that we really admire, like yourself, and of course you're a star, not only for us, like not only one of the best triathletes ever, I think, because of the, how long you've been going on. You've been 20 years pro, and then one of the best age groupers, we say, of all time. And I remember, I don't know if you remember, we met in Brazil, in Florianopolis. And
my first Ironman.
My second one. And actually, it was an amazing race. And you, of all the races that you've done, you probably have done most of the time, apart from Kona, Brazil and New Zealand. Is it true?
Yeah, they're the two that I've done the most. I've done New Zealand more than 20 times now, and Brazil probably, well, I've been there every year since it started, which was 98. So they had a 2/3 Ironman distance in 97 in Porto Seguro, and then they had 3 full Ironman races. And then their contract was up, and I got involved with some friends down in Brazil that wanted to try and secure the contract. And we moved the race down to Florianopolis in 2001.
It's an incredible place. I remember that the coast of where the beach where we started the race, it looks like Miami. I don't know, Miami or Los Angeles. It's incredible villas, and it's really nice place.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, even when the Brazilians go there, they're for the first time, they're amazed. It's
Yes.
beautiful coastline.
You've been in the top 10 in Kona for 10 times. Is it true?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So your first Kona was 1984, you said, and then you never missed an event since then. So how did it change? What do you think changed the most in Kona?
I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot has changed. The course has changed some, but only the bike course very little. The run course has changed a few times. It's definitely an easier course now than what it was. But there used to be 2 transitions about 10 kilometers apart. So it's logistically, it's easier now, better for the spectators. But it's the main change has just been the volume of people. And for a few years there, I wasn't very happy with it. Way too much drafting. But now, last year, they went to multiple wave starts.
Yes.
And made a huge difference. So I think it's going to be a much better race going forward, much more fair.
Yeah, I mean, we were there in 17 after Florianopolis.
That would have been a bad year with drafting.
Yeah. and last year 19. So I kind of like missed the single wave start because I'm a good swimmer. So
yeah, no, there's problems in both. I mean, I prefer to have the single start, but I would prefer to only have 800 athletes in the race or something.
Of course. No, well, you're right.
The as it was before, it was much more emotional. Being there, starting all everybody together, was tough but emotional. I think.
Yeah, you felt.
It also, I think, became quite dangerous in the water with the mass start when there was over 2,000 people in the race already, and we did have a separate men's and women's start, but the men's start was still probably 1,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a good start, was probably in the top 50, 60 athletes or so, 150 meters into the swim. And somebody hit my arm,
Mm-hmm.
and I lost a stroke. And at the same time that happened, somebody swam right up on my legs, so I couldn't kick. And the next thing I know, I was just stopped completely in the water. 1,400 athletes behind me. And
Yes.
I went under twice. When I came up the second time, I looked directly over at a lifeguard, but
Mm-hmm.
there was no way that anybody could get to you. There was, a constant stream of 15 people between me and him, and a new person every second.
Mm-hmm.
So I went under a third time, and I thought I was going to die.
Really?
Yep.
That's scary.
Which year was that?
Oh, I don't know. Probably around 16, maybe.
Oh.
15, 16, 17. Maybe not, probably not 15. That's probably a little too long ago, because
Mm-hmm.
it was a really big field. So it was probably 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't imagine someone that was not as good a swimmer as me, or someone that hadn't been in the sport for so long, if they had gone under, 3 times with athletes swimming over top of them. I don't think it would have been a good
scary,
outcome.
real scary. And so you established in 2002 your endurance sport travel.
But I started the business because of Florianopolis, to try and get more people down to Ironman Brazil. The first year that we ran the race in 2001, the largest it had been previous to that in the old location was around 300 athletes, a little less. And our first year, I think we had 525. And then we just gradually built it from there. But the first 2 or 3 years in Florianopolis, the race was still predominantly foreign athletes. It probably, maybe even more, probably wasn't until about 2006 that it was about equal, the number of foreign athletes with Brazilian athletes. And now, of course, with so many races all over the world, there's not as many foreign athletes going to it. Still a lot of South American athletes, but the race has become predominantly Brazilians with, a few hundred foreign athletes. But I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure the only championship race that's not corporate owned is the South American race. So all the other championships, I think, are owned by Ironman Corporation. The South American race was a licensed race, so the local race organization had to come up with, all the resources to put on the event. So it was difficult. Yeah.
Okay. Now that you've been to Kona 36 times.
Yes.
What do you think?
Is it getting more and more difficult to qualify for Kona? Or
Oh yeah.
The number of races are getting higher.
A lot of the races have actually, because of the number of races, some of the races have less slots now. So I mean, 10 years ago, I guess most races had between 60 and 80 slots. Now most races are between 40 and 50 slots. And the number of athletes in each race is as high as it was back then or higher. So, and obviously the quality of the field has continued to grow. So it's within each race, it's a much higher quality of number of quality, well-trained athletes that are truly trying to get their Kona slot. And in most cases, there's there's less slots. So
Yeah.
very, very difficult for the older men's age groups and all the women's age groups, especially outside North America. The women's age groups up until probably 55 to 59. Most of the age groups below that, especially in the 30s and 40s, have multiple slots in the women's age groups available because it's done by a percentage of the field. When you go to Europe and South America, the percentage of women is lower. So most races, a woman has to win her age group to get a slot.
There's only one slot for each category.
So what you're saying is that if you want to qualify and if you're a woman, you better go to North American race. If you're a man, you're screwed.
Well, for the men, when Brazil was the championship, there were years where there were 14 slots in the 40 to 44 men's age group. And 2 or 3 people may have already been qualified. 1 or 2 people might not want to go, or financially couldn't afford to go. There were slots going as deep as 18, 19 places sometimes, which is crazy. You know, when a woman has to win her age group, or a 55 to 59 or 60-year-old man has to win the age group to go. And when it's only one slot, it's sometimes it's just bad luck. I mean, if you could be one of the top 10 in the world in your age group, if you're a 35-year-old woman and you show up, and last year you were 10th in Kona, and you show up and, oh my God, there's a woman at the same race that was 4th in Kona the year before. And here you are, one of the best in the world, and
not being able to qualify.
So in that regard, a race in North America where there's 2 or 3 slots or even 4 slots, it kind of protects you from that. If only one really, really good woman shows up in your age group, you still have a chance for a slot. In a lot of races, in Australia and New Zealand's a little better as well, because there's a higher percentage of women there. So the larger women's age groups there usually have more than one slot. But it's very difficult to qualify.
Yeah, very well. So one of the things we wanted to tell you that of all the races that we've been to, probably the most comfortable race we've been to is Brazil, and that's probably because we booked with you, and the hotel was fantastic, the service and everything. So
we could eat properly, rest properly, so it was perfect.
The fact that you have like a bike mechanics in the hotel, everything is very well organized. So if there is one advice that I can give to all my friends and everyone that knows us, is if they go to a race that is very far from home, or a place that you don't know, to book with either East or whatever organization that helps you being there, and Kona as well, actually. So if you don't know Kona, right nowadays it's very difficult to get around. Congratulations for your service. That's what I want to say. And how do you actually, is there an advice you can give to the people that want to travel far for a race, or Kona especially for a race?
Well, I mean, years ago, people would go in a week before the race. Much more for Kona, but for just any Ironman races, most people would arrive a week before. Now people tend to, for whatever reason, go 3 days before, 3 days before, even when it's a far away race, which to me, I think is just crazy. After all the time and effort you put into training, the expense of traveling there, to add an extra 2 or 3 days, the cost of the entry. So, I mean, to add an extra 2 or 3 days, only changes the cost of the trip very little bit. But the experience is going to be much better. So if you're traveling to a place you've never been, to a place that's, quite a few time zones away, I think the best advice I can give is to arrive early, to get settled in. I mean, you're not really training at all, but just to let your body adjust to the time zone, possibly to a different climate, and just to go for easy swims and bikes, a couple short little jogs, just to get your body moving, but also just to feel comfortable. And also the problems with your bike possibly not arriving on the same flight as you. If you arrive 6 days before the race and your bike arrives 1 or 2 days later, it's not a big problem. You arrive on 3 days before the race and your bike arrives 2 days after you do.
Maybe it's too late.
You're going crazy. You're not sleeping at night because your bike's not there. And so it doesn't happen often, but it can happen.
It happens.
Yeah, it can happen. Yeah.
And it's not like you can do like a race every month,
No, this is something, I mean, especially if it's a big trip. So maybe you do 2 Ironman races in a year, or you do 2 or 3 half Ironmans and 1 Ironman in a year, but they might be closer to home. So you may only do 1 destination race every year, or maybe 1 destination race every 2 or 3 years. So to cut it short and arrive too close to the race, when you've put so much into it, that to me is a big mistake.
So what's the best? Let's say that you travel from Europe to like United States, America, North or South America. Mm-hmm. How long do you suggest to get there? How long before the race?
Well, I mean, North America is from Europe to North America, flight-wise, if you're going to the East Coast, 5 days before. If you're going to the West Coast, maybe 7 days before. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for North Americans or South Americans going to Europe, it's I would say at least 5, 6, 7 days beforehand, if you want to have a good race and a good experience. And the thing is, you can explore the city that you're in and do some tourist type things before the race. You don't want to do too much. And your family, of course, can do more than the athlete can do. So, and that's, with our business, we always try to have things set up for the family to do, so that if the athlete wants to relax a little bit more beforehand, they can feel comfortable that their family has something to do, and isn't just, sitting at the hotel pool for 5 days or something.
Actually, I was talking about you to our coach, Daniel Fontana, and he told us that you slept in the same room in Mar del Plata many years ago. So you say hi.
Please say hello to him.
We are thinking of going to Cozumel. Okay. So I suppose that the best way to travel there is to Cancun, right?
Yes, from Europe, yes, to Cancun. Well, then we have a service that picks you up straight from the airport, takes you to the ferry, and then you take the ferry. We give you the ferry tickets. We have everything set up. So you take the ferry across, and we meet you on the other side. It's only a 25-minute, 30-minute ferry ride from Playa del Carmen over to Cozumel. And then it's about 15-20 minutes from the ferry terminal to the resort that we use.
Okay.
So,
and
that way for a lot of people it would just be one flight. Yeah. If you want to fly directly into Cozumel, there's direct flights from a few different cities in the U.S. So the hassle with that is then you have to, even though you're just connecting, When you fly into the U.S., you have to clear U.S. customs and everything. So
disembark the bike,
yeah,
the check. Yeah.
yeah.
Same thing when you fly to Kona.
Yeah, but so I mean, if the idea is to go to Mexico, to travel through the U.S. to get there, would logistically add a lot of problems. So
that's right.
Okay, so
Yes.
the
big question is, the big question is, you know, in Kona, when they call everybody for
like who's been here for the first time, and everybody stands up at least one time.
Yes.
And then they do twice, three
times.
4, and then the last man standing is always you, right?
Yes.
And that's amazing. But they do that during the welcome back banquet or the banquet of champions. I mean, the first banquet of...
It's at the welcome banquet.
Yes, I won.
Wait, Alex, you've been there twice, yeah?
I don't know, but I've been...
You forgot. No, because there's so much going on at the with the awards at the at the
awards ceremony,
celebration dinner. They do a lot of other things at the welcome banquet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
All right. Okay.
They're both pretty long, so.
But wife is always right anyway, so.
Yeah, you shouldn't bet against your wife.
All right.
Okay.
Listen, Ken, thank you so much for sharing this with us. We really appreciate. We enjoy this, and we hope to see you back soon, sometimes either in Cozumel or hopefully in Kona sometimes.
Okay.
Okay. And
and actually, so we're gonna if you don't make it to Cozumel for the race itself, we built a hostel and guest house in Cozumel, and it's just about finished. It'll be 8 rooms, and we're gonna do training camps there. So
wow.
If you don't make it for the race, maybe one winter you can come and do a training camp with us.
That's a nice idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's a nice idea. It wasn't the perfect year to start it, though.
No, exactly. I was saying maybe when this coronavirus thing's finished, then we'll be able to travel more freely, and we'll see. Okay.
Okay, guys. Well. Continue
safe.
training, enjoy life as much as you can, and hopefully we'll
enjoy your training if you do train.
Yes, we train. We head west from here, and it's nice and quiet, so it's nice and safe. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Say hello to.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.